All right, good evening, everyone. I will call this regular meeting of the Sebastian City Council to order. You'll all rise for the invocation that will be led by Cantor Keel from Temple Beth Shalom.
O eternal, creator of all things, the one who inspires salvation, source of life and power, may you bless and protect the leaders of our city of Sebastian and all those who exercise authority in keeping with our laws. May the Holy One of Blessing bring strength to all who work in the Sebastian community on behalf of those who need our support, strengthening them in body and in spirit and rewarding their efforts with success. May those in leadership act in accordance with the insight that the truly strong are those who raise up the fallen, the truly honored are those who honor the caregivers, and the truly wise are those who acknowledge the vital work of all our teachers. We turn to our leaders for inspiration and hope, direction and guidance. May they lead us in paths of peace and community, build communal cohesion through both word and deed, and bring about this blessing. May the one who brings peace on high, keeping fire and water in a delicate balance, bring peace and growing safety and prosperity to our world below. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, thank you very much. If you'd all remain standing, this evening we're blessed to have Boy Scouts Troop 505 who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Boys, if you'd like to come forward, please.
Whenever you're ready. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Mayor Hill.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kitchen. Here. Councilmember Dodd.
Here.
Councilmember Iovino has asked for an excused absence. Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Council, do we have any modifications to the agenda this evening?
Yes, I'd like to add an item under, I guess under new business. It's titled the P&Z Review of Land Use for Graves Annexation Area.
Staff, do you have that title? Do you have the title? All right, thank you. All those in favor of adding this item to the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. So that is going to be under agenda item 12A. Thank you. Anything else? All right, I have a couple of items this evening under proclamations, awards, and brief announcements. I have a certificate of appreciation for Greg Pichelle. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Very good. You know, I practiced those last names, and I even asked the clerk whether or not I have them right, so if I murdered that, I'm sorry.
Good.
Is it close enough?
Sure, yeah.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. This is a Certificate of Appreciation Award. Be it known that Greg Pichelle has given exceptional service to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee for the responsibility assumed and for the unselfish service rendered to the community on discharging the duties of good citizenship. This token of achievement is hereby awarded, presented this 10th day of July, 2019.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was 6 years, and I really liked my time on the service and appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. And we appreciate your service, too. Yeah. 6 years on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee is hard time. So thank you very much for that. There's so much good comes out of that committee, so we very much appreciate you. It's always great to have new people come on, and it's always sad to have some of those go off. But we appreciate your service, and we wish you the best. So thank you.
Thank you.
I have a proclamation for Treasure Coast Waterway Cleanup Week, and we're lucky to have Dr. Nikki Mosbleck. Mosbleck, nailed that one too, see? One of the 5 finalists for the Florida Teacher of the Year, who will be headed up the Main Street Boat Ramp site. This is a proclamation, Treasure Coast Waterway Cleanup Week, July 22nd through July 28th, 2019. Whereas on Saturday, July 27th, 2019, the Marine Industries Association of the Treasure Coast, in conjunction with the Florida Inland Navigation District, will conduct their 12th annual Treasure Coast Waterway Cleanup. And whereas this event will attract over 1,000 volunteers who will participate in cleaning up the waterways of Indian River, Martin, and St. Lucie counties. And whereas 27 designated sites throughout the 3 counties will serve as registration and disposal sites for volunteers to work out of. And whereas in 2018, over 5.18 tons of trash were collected from approximately 125 miles of waterways, with the expectation of significantly larger amounts due to the increase in volunteer effort this year. Now, therefore, I, Jim Hill, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim July 22 through 28, 2019 as Treasure Coast Waterway Cleanup Week and encourage all citizens and businesses to participate in the activities which will assist the elimination and of the accumulation of harmful debris in our waterways. In witness hereof, I have set my hand to this and caused the seal of the City of Sebastian to be affixed this 10th day of July, 2019. Got through that. There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This and other cleanup efforts are obviously really, really important to protecting the environment that we have around us. And so we encourage you to come out the 27th from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. We'll be at the Main Street Boat Ramp, but there are 7 different locations just within this county that you can be at. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Brief announcements?
We have one brief announcement, but a very important one. Christmas in July fundraiser for December's Shop with a Cop event will be Saturday, July 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Riverview Park. Please, everyone, come out and support your local police department. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you for that. That's a great event for our community. It really starts now and ends in December. And what a great opportunity for the police to be out there in the community, meeting with the folks, so, and the good things that come from this event. Anything else from council? Leads us to consent agenda. Council, what's your pleasure?
Move approval.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, could we pull item C, because I just got a modification to that for item C.
All right, I will ask to pull item C.
Okay.
What's your pleasure?
I move approval of A, B, D through G.
Second. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Carlisle.
Mr. Mayor, there's the modification to this approval for the Riverview Park Art Club. The May 9th has gotten moved to May 2nd. So if we could just make that modification, the council could then consider that item.
And we've checked, and there's no problems with that date.
No, ma'am. No, sir.
All right, thank you. I'll move approval of item C with the adjustment to the date of May 9th.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Moves us to public input. Does anyone from the public have anything they wish to speak on tonight that is not currently on the agenda? Yes, sir.
Evening, Ben Hawker, City of Sebastian. These are really questions. Mr. Mayor, I know you're a boater. A few months back, we issued a $30,000 contract to an attorney to come up with the handicap modifications for both of the marinas. Can you give us maybe a little update on that? It's been, I think, almost 4 months, really. Are you aware of anything going on?
Have you contacted staff about this, Mr. Hawker? Have you contacted staff about this, Mr. Hawker?
No, I've been sort of running around and I'm going out of town and didn't have the time. It was just a question. What are we doing?
Yes, you're welcome to contact staff, and they'll have any of the questions or answers for you.
So
Or when you're finished this evening, I'm sure staff will have something to say.
A comment on our swales. We've got an ordinance of no parking on the swales because it's a major portion of our city for drainage during floods, storms, etc. Our city has cars parked constantly all over, and many cars. Who's responsible? The police department to enforce our code? Or does the code enforcement department have to be notified?
Is that your last question?
That was the question, yeah.
Is that your final question, sir? Is that the last question you have for me this evening?
Yeah, that's about it. Besides, I guess you want to get out of here tonight. There's
No,
nothing
not at
else
all.
on
Not
that.
at all. I'll answer any of your questions. I just don't want to get into a back and forth, and so if you have anything further to add, please do. Thank you very much for that, sir. Mr. Carlo, do you have an update on the handicap boat park?
We were trying to do it without having to do a seagrass study, but we do have to do a seagrass study, so we've asked Mr. Schulke to authorize that seagrass study, which was part of the agreement. We were hoping not to have to do it, but DEP is requiring a seagrass study, so that's what we're waiting on at this time.
All right, thank you for that. And then whose responsibility is it to enforce parking ordinances along our roads?
It's a code officers, but they need to actually observe it. So if and they work weekends and they work different hours, but they actually have to physically see the violation to cite it.
All right, thank you very much. And the ramp at the Main Street boat ramp or at the yacht club is something that's been very important to me, Mr. Hawker, as you very well know. So I do look forward to the day that goes in. Anyone else in the public have anything to bring this evening that is not currently on the agenda? All right, thank you. That would move us to item 12A, P&Z review, and I pretty much stopped writing at that, so I hope staff has the rest
Okay.
of it. Okay.
Of the land use.
Okay.
All right. This afternoon at the MPO, there was quite a discussion about the Graves annexation and the 82nd Street extension and the 510 extension. And the MPO voted to have a special meeting sometime the first 2 weeks of August for us to further discuss this issue. And I discussed it, I had a conversation with staff today, and the P&Z is currently scheduled on the 18th, I believe it's the 18th, right? To review and recommend to City Council land use designations for that property. And I felt like that it might be appropriate for us to postpone that while we're continuing our discussions with the members of the MPO related to the annexation. It at least gives a good faith information to the county that we're trying to work with them on this. I can't order that since the charter doesn't allow a council member to do that. So I'm bringing it up to council to see if I can get a concurrence that it's okay to request the staff to postpone that hearing.
Yeah, I don't have a real issue with that there, but I have heard some of the comments that were made at the P&Z, or I'm sorry, at the MPO, and I would have questions of staff about some of the comments that I've heard relative to the communication that the city of Sebastian has had with the county going over the last several months through this annexation process. It appears as though the county is taking the stance that the city is not communicating with the county, and I want to know if that's in fact the case.
No, sir, we had a meeting in March with Stan Bowling and with Phil, and we discussed numerous items in there. We discussed the traffic, we discussed the water sewer, the things that the county had discussed in their letter. We have a meeting August 2nd with the county administrator to discuss some of these same items. But we met in March, and I forwarded the email where Stan, their planning and zoning director, forwarded back a summary, though we had a couple modifications to his recollection of the meeting. But we talked about interconnectivity. We did not talk about road donations. We talked about new towns. We talked about T&D neighborhoods. We talked about urban service areas and outside the urban service and how we would work through that. And we would go through further discussions as it moved forward. The applicant was there. They got to see the maps, the interconnectivity roadways. At that meeting, they didn't seem to have a big issue with it. They did say, as the city county manager said, that there's no guarantee for water, which we understood. We didn't disagree with that. We would discuss that. But the fact that when they say there hasn't been no discussions, I sent an email to the county administrator and said, I take exception with that, and I copied him on the email that I had gotten from Stan regarding that. Did we solve all the questions and issues? No, but the communication was there.
And so the question is, and you've answered it, but for staff to say that there's been a lack of communication between the city and the county would be incorrect, right?
It's incorrect.
And then if we're going to hold off on this project based on what's happening at the MPO, based on the information that the MPO is getting, I wonder, is that going to harm the project at all by holding off?
I haven't had a chance, this came up today, I did not have a chance to talk to the applicant to find out. This is a voluntary annexation, this isn't a forced annexation.
So we're talking about a month, it'll be another month, right?
No, we're currently scheduled to finalize the annexation on our meeting on August 28th.
Correct.
And I don't see where having the P&Z do this on July the 18th versus on a meeting in that time frame. I don't see where that should slow this down.
And what would you know about P&Z?
But I'm really not a whole lot.
Okay, as long as, and that was, I guess, my big concern, and so I don't have much of a concern, as long as it's not gonna hold it up. And I would not have a problem with holding it up, except for the information that I've been hearing relative to what has been spoken at these meetings. And it seems to me that there's some misinformation.
There is.
And, so if that's in fact the case, then I want to make sure that we're not holding our end up based on misinformation that's coming out of county officials.
And I think that was kind of pointed out to the county commissioners today at the MPO meeting that the miscommunication issues are the problem.
Right.
And I guess my position on it after listening to what they were saying is that they may not be hearing everything that they need to hear, and it's an elected official to elected official basically might solve the problem if we can get in the room. The issues that they're talking about, 82nd Avenue and 510, are actually MPO issues, so the MPO can carry on that conversation. Councilmember Partland and I are both members of that. It's not a sunshine issue for us to be in that room and talk to them about those issues related to the annexation. And I think we can solve the problem. At the time that we talk about that in August, I would intend to make sure they understand what actions have taken place in the past.
Sure.
And that we're not remiss in what we're doing, and we're not giving away the world to anybody on this process. Right. I've heard the same thing, that the reason that they want to annex it is they'll get stuff from us they can't get from the county, and that's absolutely untrue. And I agree with that, so.
Well, you simply have to look at the project that was approved directly adjacent to it.
Yes.
That has put over 3,000 homes, if I'm not mistaken, in a direct proximity to the city of Sebastian with no actual benefit to the city. I think that, I understand why they would want to maintain control over that property. Is there any objection to asking to hold that off?
No, and I'm sure Mr. Carlisle and staff will be at that next meeting. As you know, I don't know about Mr. Dodd, but I was a little taken aback this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was not expected, but then after it started, I anticipated that it was planned a little bit, so I think that's
Well, sometimes you have those county officials who fear losing control over things, and maybe we should definitely have staff there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, after you, sir.
Well, I'm just concerned that we don't get ourselves in a situation where we don't try to communicate with the county and it causes us issues later in the future. I think it's beneficial for us to use this as an opportunity to open up communication lines with them and try to convince them that it's really not a bad deal, and that we're going to take care of what we need to take care of. So.
Very good. And Mr. Carlisle, I'm sure you'll be there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you'd like to make a motion, do we need a motion in that regard?
My motion is that we ask the staff to postpone the review of the land use code for the Graves annexation area from the 18th meeting for the P&Z to a future meeting. I won't set a date because I don't know what.
We'll have to re-advertise it.
Right.
All right, very good. That's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second. Sorry about
All right, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this issue? All right, seeing none. Anything else from council? Roll call, please.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kitchen?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Stokes?
I have nothing this evening, sir.
All right, Mr. Carlisle?
I have nothing, Mayor, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Nothing tonight?
All right. Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes, sir.
All right, I would just like to congratulate staff at the city and all of the volunteers who worked very hard on the 4th of July celebration that we had. It was amazing, as it always is, as most of the people who've ever heard me speak know. That's my favorite day of the year, and boy, I sure think we pulled it off very well. The parade went without any issues that I was told of, and there were thousands of people lining the road, and that's not an exaggeration. Thousands of people down there lining the road. I understand that the events in the park were fantastic, and I can say that the fireworks display that we had this year was, and I've heard this from many, many individuals, the best they've ever seen in the city of Sebastian, and I think that is without doubt because it was outstanding. So from start to finish, I want to praise staff, and Mr. Carlisle, if you could express to your staff the feelings that I have on that, I would appreciate it. And it was also wonderful to see the rest of the city, the folks in the city out there doing their thing, and it was great. The citizens are fantastic and happy and loving it, and didn't hear of any problems. So that's all I have. Madam Vice Mayor.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Councilmember Dodd.
Okay, one thing. At the county commission meeting on Tuesday, they did a really good presentation on the recycling effort that's going on in the county. Very positive note, Indian River County is the #2 success of all the counties in the state of Florida. We're have the second best record on recycling. The side note on that, however, is that they're having a real issue right now. They expect, I think they said 18% rejection on recycling. They're getting something like 32. The reason for that is trash in the recycling bins or people not properly cleaning out material before it goes into recycling bins. If you don't know, if you empty a can of soup and you put the soup can in the recycle bin full of old soup, it contaminates the whole bin because they can't recycle it with the food stuff in it. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that they need to do a little bit better job of cleaning that out. The county, the reference that they made was the county actually has an ordinance that says that it's a violation of the ordinance if you put trash in a recycle bin. County code enforcement is being enlisted by the recycle authority to go out and look in bins and to cite people for doing that. I don't know whether Sebastian has an ordinance like that or whether they've asked our code enforcement people to assist them on that.
Our contract for recycling is with the county.
Okay, so will they come to will they actually ask our code enforcement people to help them go out and I knew the contract is with the county, but I didn't know whether they would actually ask our code enforcement people to help them.
I have not been asked that.
Okay, because they don't have the authority to put a tag on the bin. They need someone who has authority to do that. So they're using the county code people in the county, but they can't come into Sebastian and do that. It might be worth
We'll
following
research
up.
it. We'll research it and see what we can do to help.
Because it's a good opportunity to get to that 80%. That's the goal, is 80% recycled material versus non-recycled material. So that's all
we'll
I've
look
got.
into it.
All right, thank you very much. I always have a question about that, and I agree that 80% is definitely something that we should be shooting for. But we pick up trash twice a week and recycling only once. Yeah. So it doesn't, the math doesn't work out for me on that. There being no further, we are adjourned.